Yo, listen up. When you talk about the NFL's best running backs, the conversation in 2024 has been dominated by names like Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Jahmyr Gibbs, and Josh Jacobs. But here's the thing. When I break down the tape, look at the numbers, and consider the context, it ain't just about who's got the stats. It's about how you get those stats, who you get with, and what you do when the lights shine the brightest. Now, Saquon Barkley, he's had a season for the ages. The ninth player in NFL history to rush for over 2,000 yards in a single season, that's elite company right there. Not only that, but he took it even further in the playoffs, piling on nearly 500 more yards and pushing his total to 2,504 rushing yards with 20 rushing and receiving touchdowns combined. NFL Offensive Player of the Year? No surprise. But yo, don't sleep on Josh Jacobs. Setting the stage, the context behind the numbers, let me break it down for you. When we compare Jacobs and Barkley, the raw numbers tell one story, but the deeper stories in the context. Saquon was running behind what many call the best offensive line in football. A juggernaut that opens holes before defenders even know what hit. Plus, Barkley had the luxury of playing with a dual-threat quarterback and a veteran squad loaded with playmakers who could stretch the field and keep defenses honest. Josh Jacobs, man, he had to grind. Jacobs ran behind a solid offensive line. Yeah, but it was nowhere near elite. Brian Gutekunst, the Packers GM, openly admitted the line needed work, so they brought in Aaron Banks in free agency and drafted Anthony Belton to beef it up. Jacobs played with a quarterback who was battling injuries and a young group of receivers and tight ends who hadn't quite reached their potential. See, that's important, because Jacobs had to do more with less. The numbers break down. Stats don't lie, but they don't tell. Old Barkley led the league with 25 rushing yards. Jacobs had 1329. Barkley outpaced Jacobs by 626 yards on the ground alone. But what Jacobs lacked in volume, he made up for in toughness and situational impact. Barkley ran for 835 yards on. So yeah, Barkley's game was explosive and dynamic. He hit the hole fast, got in the second level with speed and power, and then broke away with long runs that electrified fans. But Jacobs is a different breed. He's about the grind, the physicality, the broken tackles, the yards after contact. Jacobs is a battering ram who wears defenders down, not just outruns them. According to Pro Football Focus and Sports Info Solutions, Jacobs was among the league leaders in yards after contact. Showing he's got that tough, never give up mentality. Jacobs' leadership and statement as a rookie, here's another thing. Jacobs wasn't just out there running the rock. He came into Green Bay as a rookie, stepping up as a leader in the locker room. He put his stamp on the Packers from day one. He told FanDuel's Kay Adams, "I just tried to come in and put my stamp on the game. Being a leader in this locker room and things like that, make my statement in this community, it's been huge. But I also felt like I still left a lot on the field. So, trying to come in and just improve each and every day and see where it goes. That's a mindset of a champion. Not just satisfied with where you're at, but hungry to get better." Film study. What the tape shows when I break down the tape on Barkley, you see a back who's faster, and more elusive, clearly benefiting from that elite blocking. He has room to build momentum, and once he hits the hole, he's gone, running away from defenders, making defenders look silly in space. Jacobs, his tape is a clinic in toughness. Every run is a battle. You see him lower his shoulder, stiff-arm defenders, and fall forward for extra yards. He rarely gets clean lanes, but he creates yards with power and determination. Jacobs forces defenders to bring their best tackles every time he touches the ball. On the Pivot podcast, Jacobs said, "I'm telling y'all, I study film for real, and I'm watching this line like, this line is amazing. He damn near gets 3-4 yards without being touched." That's Barkley's advantage. A great line. But Jacobs' ability to get those tough yards despite less help, that's what separates him. Comparing styles, power versus explosiveness. Look, the NFL needs all types of back. You want the explosive runner who can take it 80 yards anytime. That's Barkley, Henry Gibbs. But you also want the power back who controls the game, forces defenses to respect the run, and wears them down over 4 quarters. That's Jacobs. Jacobs breaks tackles like a heavyweight champ. That kind of physicality wears down linebackers and defensive backs. Barkley's explosiveness forces defenses to respect his speed and agility. Both styles are valuable, but Jacobs' style is a throwback. A pure, old-school football player who can carry the load and take a beating. What it means for Green Bay Packers, for Green Bay, Jacobs' rookie season, was a breath of fresh air. He's already their rushing leader and a touchdown machine. The offense will get better as the team adds talent around him, especially upgrading the offensive line. If Jacobs keeps improving and the Packers develop their young playmakers, he could push into elite status quickly. He's got the skill, mindset, and heart. Conclusion, who's the best? So, who's better, Barkley or Jacobs? So, who's better? If you want to highlight real and gaudy numbers, Barkley's your guy. If you want toughness, consistency, and leadership in adverse situations, Jacobs makes a strong case. And don't forget Derrick Henry and Jahmyr Gibbs. These backs are the cream of the crop, too. In the end, Jacobs made a statement with every broken tackle and every tough yard. He's a force in this league. And it won't be long before people put his name right next to Barkley's when talking about the best running backs in football. If you want me to, I can break this down even further with more stats, film analysis, and player comparisons. Just say the word.